Attention all my fellow creators. In my experiments with the Void Walker, I have made an alarming discovery. If you're willing and able, please make your way to the basement of the old inn as soon as you can. I'll meet everyone there for further details.
Thank you all for coming so quickly. In my experiments with the Void Walker, I seem to have come across a weird frequency. I'm able to hear some sort of lizard.
You mean the dragon? It's big, it's black, dangerous, very dangerous.
Extremely dangerous?
Yeah, I'd say extremely dangerous.
Do you know how to find it?
Yeah, there is a way to find the dragon.
Yes, if you could track that thing down and get rid of it for me, I'd be incredibly happy. Please report back as soon as you can.
Dave, we need to go. We need to go and fight the big reptile that the doctor has found.
End dragon? What do I need?
It depends. How much do you not want to die?
Oh, I don't want to die at all.
Is this everyone?
Yep. This is everyone.
Right.
That way.
It's going that way. It's high. All right. Yeah. Right here.
Okay.
Ready. Fight.
Hey guys, my name is Jestix and welcome to episode number 4 from the Channel 64 SMP server. And my goodness, have we been busy in between episodes. As you just saw, we fought and defeated the dragon, and one of the most beneficial things of doing so is we have our wings. Oh my goodness, I'm so happy to have my wings back. One of the main things I miss whenever I start a new Minecraft world is my wings, and today we are definitely going to need them because we are not going to be building here. Oh no. We are going to be building up there, and don't mind the copper. I'm just waiting for it to turn blue. I've been here a couple of hours. This is my life now. It's what you might call a slow process, but it is what it is, and it's going to be worth it. So when it all turns blue, what I'm going to do is collect it all up and get started on our build, and it is a big one. It is not a 1 shulker box build, oh no. It is not a 2 shulker box build. It's not even a 3 shulker box build. Today we are building a 5 shulker box build, and there is a lot of resources here. It took a long time to collect them all, as you can imagine, but it's going to be so worth it once we get this done. And all we need to do so is a very large cup of tea and the time-lapse button. So let's clear some snow, pop the button down, and here we go. Well, that was weird. Anyway, we're finished. We are finally finished. 7 hours later and about 6 million cups of tea. And here we have our giant steampunk-inspired anglerfish flying through the sky with the Doctor's satellite dish on the back, beaming the radio across the land. And I could not be any more happier with how this has turned out. I honestly think this one might be one of my most favourite builds I've ever done. So yes, very, very pleased. And I occasionally get asked when doing these big builds if I can do a block by block tutorial on them. Now, I always end up answering the question with the same 2 points, and they are that a block by block tutorial of something this big would be A, very long, and B, very boring. So instead of that, I'm just going to run through a few steps, a few quick tips on how you can approach a bigger build like this, and hopefully it will inspire you and help you to go ahead and have a go at building something like this yourselves. So if we just bring the music down and put on something a little bit more funky, we can get into them now. Tip number 1, and that is decide what you want to build. Now, that probably sounds a little bit obvious, but actually having an idea of what you want to build in mind beforehand makes things a whole lot easier rather than just trying to lay blocks and hoping that something will appear in front of your eyes. So when you've got an idea of what you want to build, whether that be a house or a barn or a giant steampunk fish flying through the sky, you can then move on and start looking for inspiration online. Tip number 2, inspiration. Now, the easiest way to find inspiration is just with an image search online. I would try not to be too specific and use too many keywords. Also, whenever I'm looking for inspiration online, I do try and avoid looking at other people's Minecraft builds, because that way I know that whatever I make is going to be completely original to me, and it's going to be a lot more satisfying build at the end of the day. Tip number 3, scale. Now, if you're building something like a house, then scale is quite easy to work out, because most houses, they will have a front door. So we know that a door in Minecraft is 1 block wide and 2 blocks tall. So it's quite easy to work out from the door on your image how many blocks wide and how many blocks tall that house should be. But Jess, we don't want to build a house. We want to build a giant steampunk fish flying through the sky. When it comes to otherworldly builds, scale isn't as important, but it is a good idea to go into your world and decide where you want your build to be, and have a look at the terrain, look at the way it's generated, and that will give you a good idea of what the scale should be. The fish, for example, I knew I wanted it above the mountain, but I didn't want it to go over the edges of the mountain. So all I did then was just laid blocks out on the top of the mountain to get the scale for the build that I wanted to do. Tip number 4. Building in creative mode before you build in survival is not cheating, and I don't care what anyone says, especially if you're a builder like me who likes to build something and say, oh, I don't quite like it, knock it down, build it, knock it down, build it again, and so on. And to do that in survival would take absolutely ages, and honestly, who's got time for that? Tip 5, getting started. So when it comes to creating a giant build, a good place to start is by breaking it down into some simple shapes. So if you look at the fish from the side on, it's basically a square for the body and 3 triangles which represent the head, the tail and the dish. Build these shapes out first, giving you a 2-dimensional outline of your build, and then you can move to the front and start placing blocks sideways to represent the various widths of each section. Once this is complete, you can fill in the gaps, and that will give you a rough, blocky version of your build, ready to be smoothed out with slabs and stairs. Tip number 6, block palette. Once the body of your build is smoothed out, you can start thinking about how you want to colour it. Now, a lot of creators use gradients to blend from one colour to another, but with a build this size, you can quickly run out of colours. A way around this is to dither the colours that you use. This enables you to spread your gradient over a wider area and will also start to add texture to your surfaces. Tip number 7, breaking up the space. If you end up with big flat spaces on your build, then you can consider breaking them up with different shapes or block types to make them less flat and more interesting, like this big circle here. Tip number 8, lighting. Now, whenever I build anything, I always consider how the build will look at night time. I mean, it's essential to spawn-proof your builds, but hiding away extra lighting under trapdoors and carpets can really make your build pop when the sun goes down. And finally, tip number 9. Use lore to add practicality to your builds. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, take this walkway for instance. I thought in my head that big dish at the back would occasionally need repairing, so how would the person who's going to repair it get to and from? And that's why I built the walkway. Now, thinking about how your builds would function in the real world can give you ideas of things to add. This adds more life to your builds, it can add extra texture, and also help filling any large spaces again. And there we go. That's 9 tips to help you start your own giant build. And if there's anything else you can think of, put a comment below and I'll see if I can help. And, well, I hope the doctor likes what we've come up with, but that's going to have to wait till next time. So if you like this episode, click the like. If you want to see more, then subscribe and ring that bell. And all that's left to say for this episode is goodbye. So say goodbye, Lactose. No. I told you the horses in this place were weird.